Hey there, just about everybody I know, myself included, feels like we're a victim of time. Like there's way more things that need to happen and not enough time to get it all done. And I'm changing my relationship, and I don't feel any longer that I'm a victim of time, but rather that I'm becoming more of a manager, and hopefully someday I can claim myself a master of time. And what do I mean by that? There was a book written by Gay Hendricks called The Big Leap, and there was a little tiny section in there that talked about Einstein time. And so I want to just share with you briefly about Einstein time so you can start playing with it yourself. And then in the next couple of videos in this segment, this is the chapter on time, and this is chapter 8 in the book called The Ticking of Time. And we're also going to talk about in the next video, we'll talk about how to discern whether we should say yes or no to something. And then the third video, we'll talk about how to soften and change the channel of our constant and incessant um, need to criticize and judge everything. And I'm telling you about all of those three video topics because each of them require our relationship with our divinity. It requires us to be connected to that higher wisdom, that higher intelligence, that higher part of ourselves in order for each of these three aspects that we'll be talking about in these videos to actually be effective. So it's actually why I started with that chapter in the book in terms of the 7 steps. It's chapter 4, and it's really coming to regular, ongoing, day in and day out relationship with our connection to Source, and really understanding the state of that union, because that is what actually will lift us into all of the parts of life that are important to us. And I say lift because it's like we're lifting ourselves out of the density of false beliefs or lack or limitation. And to be clear, the entire point, in my view, of a life is to work with ourselves on that. So it's not like we flip a switch and all is perfect, but we notice the places that need our attention, and then we tend to those places until we've lifted ourselves up into a different frequency or a different vibration or a different relationship with that part of ourselves. So let's talk about Einstein time. Most of us tend to think that time is linear, right? And that's really how a left brain operates, is on a linear basis. You know, this happens, then this happens, then this happens, and there's only this much. So if we have this much that needs to get done, something's going to get left out, right? But Einstein time is a conversation about time being more circular. And so the way it was described and the way I've been playing with it over the years is that we all have a field, and it's about, this far outside of it. If we think about our fingertips, you can't see this because it goes outside the video screen, but if we go like this around our body with our hands, the tip of our fingers create the general area where our external field, how our external field surrounds us, how far out. And that's movable. It can go farther out and closer in, but the key is that we have that general field constantly around us. It is a good idea to be intentional about having that field be full, and preferably full of light rather than collapsed. It's very easy for our field to get collapsed because we go into fear, we're in judgment, which we'll talk about in the third video in this section, and that those are the kinds of things that collapse our field. So do strong emotions, which we're going to talk about in the next section of videos. And so when we are intentional about filling our field, just like we are about filling our own body, our own cells, are activating the light that's already in our cells, then our field can actually be strong, and it can be healing for us. It can ward off energy that's not designed to be part of our system. I mean, there's a lot of things that keeping a field filled with light can do for us. And in this idea of Einstein time, when we're consciously aware of our field, then how this works is that whatever it is that needs to happen, I'm going to just speak to it as if it's myself so that it makes sense and you can take what resonates and leave what doesn't. But the way I have done it over the years is that when I have things that need to get done, and especially if it seems like there's way more things than there is time, then I just put those things in my field. And the beauty of doing that is that having our field, um, having ourselves aware of our field open, connects us to the quantum field, which is literally the infinite intelligence. It's the infinite field of all that is. And remember that that field is love, right? Like that's the entire fabric of the universe, is that field of love. And it's carried on the energetics of light. And that the same thing is true in our body. And the only thing that makes it appear that that's not true is when we have false thoughts or false beliefs that see it differently. So really, all healing is the removal of false ideas, false beliefs, and the resurrection of truth. And when we tip those scales in favor of truth over time, then we actually have that experience. It outpictures in our life, just like fear outpictures in our life. So anyway, I literally just see myself. So let's just say I have a list of this many things that I have to get done, and I just take each thing one by one and I put it in my field, and I do it from a place of being centered and trusting that the universe is going to do its magic and work with all of these things in such a way that they come back around to me in a way that I easily can have that thing get done, or it gets done for me, or the right person shows up that's the perfect match for the thing getting done, whatever the thing on the to-do list is. And it's actually quite interesting how that works. When we invite and engage with the universe in all things that have to do with our life, it doesn't have to even be big things. It can be little things like when can I get the perfect plumber to come over and take care of this backed up shower drain? Like it's everything that has to do with life, because if we're going to bring light onto earth here, then it has to, this is my view, then it has to be in all the pockets, all the crevices, and all the cracks of life, not just in ones I deem to be important or at a certain spiritual level. It's everything, because everything is spiritual. Everything is the molecule made from the molecule of love, even our shower drain. So I'm happy to invite that light and that energy even into my shower drain. I know that may sound really strange, but I'm just trying to make a point that it goes from the mundane to the magical, that where light and love wishes to infuse itself into planet Earth, and we're the conduits of that. We're the ones who call it in. We're the ones who claim it as sacred. We're the ones who consecrate that energy into all the pockets of life. So the idea is that you open your field. You're very consciously aware of your field being open. You're consciously aware of connecting to the quantum field of love, the benevolent universe, and you're offering these aspects or elements that are on your to-do list to your field, and you're trusting that they will be held there, and then they'll be brought into your awareness for your action on it in perfect timing. And that is my experience. It's like I could never coordinate the getting done of the things on my to-do list in the ways that the universe can. And some spiritual teachers say the reason that is because our higher wisdom has a much broader scope and can see all the people and all the components involved, so that the universe has a way of making things come together with grace and ease, rather than us trying to hammer them out, and push through our to-do list. Now, the thing that will bring your mind to ease is that if you're taking your to-do list and you're plucking each thing on your to-do list and you're placing it in your field and you're just allowing it to be suspended in the quantum fabric of life, and trusting that it will come back around in right and perfect timing, your to-do list isn't going anywhere. It's still right there. You can still revert back to doing it that way. You can still, you can do it both in the beginning, just until you prove to yourself, and it is worth you playing with to prove to yourself how delicious it works when we work with our field and in tandem and in concert with the universe and the universe's way of causing all things to come together in right order. So, one of the ways that you can start playing with this is you can just take like the first half of your Saturday and you can say, okay, I have these things I'd like to get done, in the first half of my Saturday. So let me take just 2 minutes and put each of those things in my field. And then the key is staying in your own center. Like you can even see those things in your field if you have some inner sight that you can play with. If you don't see them, it's okay. You can just know that they're there because you put them there by your intention. And it doesn't matter where in the field they are, it doesn't matter if they move. None of that really is of concern to you in your mind, because really what your concern or your attention should be paid to is staying centered and trusting that each of those things will fall together in really a good and right way and an easeful way. I mean, that's part of the attraction to me about this, is that my to-do list, because it's so linear, and my relationship with my to-do list in linear time makes me feel like I have to push to get things done. And I don't like that feeling, especially as I gather my years. I would really much rather things come together with an ease and a grace that doesn't cost me as much energy to sort of row my boat upstream. And so then the idea is for you to play with this in a way so that you can trust that it works. Then you can stretch it out to the whole weekend. Then you can stretch it out into a couple of your work days. And then you can choose to live this way if you really like how it feels in comparison to a linear to-do list that causes you to sort of use a lot more of your energy than you maybe want to. So I hope this makes sense. It's the broad brushstroke. If you want a little bit more, you can read my book. I tell stories about how it came together for me, which I just decided not to do on this video because I'm trying to keep it short and to the point. And that would be in what chapter? I think I already told you. Chapter 8, The Ticking of Time. You can also get Gay Hendricks' book, The Big Leap. And it's not, I don't even know if it's its own chapter. I'm not recalling that, but it's just a little section in there, and it was made the whole book for me. I mean, it's not like I didn't like the other stuff, but that was a big nugget for me that I took away from that book. So yeah, so play with it and let me know. Let me know if you have any questions, if I missed anything that would make it make more sense for you. The key is placing it and then staying centered, and you're building the muscle of trust. And this is a muscle of trust that the universe has your back in terms of, bringing your to-do list items into this unfolding in this lovely unfolding way. And so if you're going to do this and you don't trust, if you're all tight and contracted about, oh my God, is this going to work? It probably is going to take a while for it to work for you, because that contraction will keep your relationship, your connection with the universe, which is really, we have to be open to be in that connection. We have to be breathing, not only in our own bodies, but into our field and even beyond our field, so that we're actually connecting to, that whole realm that is exchanged through our breath. So that is a really good practice in and of itself, whether or not your to-do list items get done perfectly in the very beginning, but it's just that practice of being in a relationship with your greater field and with the universe. So play with it and let me know how it goes, and I look forward to hearing.